Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are one step closer to sports returning. Baseball's going to be back at it later on this week from Fenway Park. Maston might actually put it on television, unlike the exhibition game over the weekend. Dennis Koulatos will be selling cars out there at Coons Florida Security Boulevard, but he'll also be with us on Thursday from 3 until 5. You're our official opening day pregame show, Dennis Koulatos. How about that? You like that?
I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a huge honor and privilege.
Be honest with me. Did you watch any baseball over the weekend? I mean, you're the one. Sports. Got to come back. I put it on Saturday night. I watched 2 baseball games in front of nobody but cutouts at the old Shea Stadium or the City Field, whatever they're calling it this in Flushing. And I turned to my wife, and I'm not even being mean. I mean, I'm a baseball family. I'm a baseball guy. I've done baseball all my life. I've been doing this 30 years. I turned to my wife, and I said, who's going to watch this? You know, who's going to watch this? Like, it's not compelling television. It's in silence. It really isn't.
Well, I watched the highlights of the Orioles' victory against the Phillies. I saw the 4 home runs. I watched the last 4 or 5 holes of the Memorial. I saw some golf, and I watched a comedy show on Netflix. So that was about the extent of my weekend.
Did you laugh? Was it any good, comedy show?
I laughed a lot, yeah. The guy's name is Joe Coy. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No. Tell me, because I need the laugh, Dennis. I'm taking notes.
Let me tell you something. It's a little raw, but it's great. Joe, Jokoi, from Netflix, 2019. I laughed so hard I couldn't laugh anymore. You know, that's a good show when you get that belly laughter and you just can't laugh anymore after a while. Funniest show I've seen in years. So
yeah, I'm really debating on working Blue moving forward. You know, I mean, you're one of my sponsors, so I have to talk it through with you before it's all over. But being a Dundalk guy, and we're in a time of pandemic and plague, you know, a little Blue humor, you know, takes me back to my dad's Red Fox albums. You know what I mean? So, like, and George Carlin era and Andrew Dice Clay era. So I have no problem with Blue. Now, keeping in mind, Dennis, I've made a career now. I'm 29 years into doing radio, and I have never been able to drop any of those 7 words, right? Like, yeah, I've never, like, literally. I have, over the last 2 years, dropped a couple of BSs, you know, on the air, just as sort of like to work into like sort of 9 p.m. cable TV, USA Network, 1987, right? So I'm not up to the Janet Jackson dropping the nipple out. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I haven't made it to 2004 yet. But in 2020, it is interesting to say who works Blue and who doesn't and who's allowed to work Blue, right?
But we have footage of you running around downtown Baltimore City in your tidy whities, though. So you are out there, and I can't unsee that as much as I've tried.
It was 1996, Dennis. It was a different time. You know what I'm saying? It was a different time. And do you know the story behind that, me running in my underwear, or do you not know?
You have told me before. Yes, I do.
Do you know the story?
Know the story. Yes,
I was on the air after we had... So the 1993 Dolphins-Saints game, right? That was probably August of 93. So we're coming up on the 27th anniversary of that, right? Yep. Did you believe that night that we were going to get an NFL team?
No. I was so discouraged, so disillusioned. We've been a bridesmaid so many times that I never thought I would see professional football back in Baltimore, particularly with D.C., just 45 minutes down the road and all the powers that be that never wanted to see football back here in Baltimore. So, no, I didn't believe it.
So that game actually, it says here, hold on here. That game was August of 92. I thought it was 93. I would have gotten that. I would have got the quiz wrong on that one. So in August of 92, 60,021 celebrate the past. John Mackey got his ring. So it was 28 years ago. We're coming up on that. On that night, I believed we were capable of getting a team back, right? Like, so, you know, in not believing in all of that, right? I would just say, you know, what you believe in and what actually can actually happen later on, you know, all these years later. You know, we're in. They're going to try to play football again here, and they're going to try to play baseball again. And, I mean, the belief of whether there's going to be a Super Bowl or not, you and I went through this 2 weeks ago as to whether this is a good idea or not. Luke and I have been going back and forth about all of this. You know, I believe that night we could get a team. And then when Charlotte and Jacksonville happened, I said we were never going to get a team. You know, and so I went on the air and said we're never going to have a team here. When that happens, I'll run naked from Hooters to Balls. That's what I said on the radio. And I said that for, I don't know, when did Jacksonville get the second team? Jacksonville expansion, that was probably 2 years later. I was sitting at the bar at Bohager's that night. So let's see here. The Jacksonville Jaguars were awarded, hold on, logos, uniforms. I'm trying to get the right date on this. When were they? 94? 93, 94. When was that?
Look it up now myself.
Jacksonville awarded franchise. Let me see here. Hold on. Jacksonville was awarded a franchise on November the 30th, 1993. So literally it was 15 months later. So from November of 93 through November of 95, that's when the CFL happened, right? That's when we had CFL football. For those 2 years, I said on the radio every day, we'll never get a team. If we ever get a team, I'll run naked from Hooters to Balls. So that's why the whole thing happened. So I had spent 2 years on the radio saying it would never happen, that I didn't believe it was going to happen. And I will say this right now. I don't believe that the National Football League is going to have an integrity-based season that's going to end in Tampa the second week of February. I don't believe that. Now, I'm not going to say I'll run naked from the Cheesecake Factory to Phillips. I'm not going to say that, but because I've seen other things happen and I'm older than that now. But I'm having a very, very hard time watching these hospitals. As people have pointed out, we have 29 hospitals in Florida right now with no ICU. You have a heart attack in Florida, you have a natural health issue, a car accident, whatever it is, there's no ICU, and we're going to crank up football? I mean, I go back to where we were with Rudy Gobert, and everything stopped because of Rudy Gobert. Now, 6 months later, it's far worse on a daily basis in America to be for contracting COVID on a daily basis walking around, and yet we're cranking up football and baseball. I got to scratch my head, Dan. I really do. I'm wondering what they're thinking, because I'm outcome-oriented, and as much as I didn't see a National Football League team, neither did you, by the way.
No.
If you were on the radio, maybe you would have been running with me.
Hey, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what color your underwear would have been, but I had the second time. I had a bunch of people join me, right? I mean,
look, when you see the Panthers get their franchise also in '93, two small market cities, Charlotte and Jacksonville, it just gives you pause to think it'll never happen. So I was as discouraged as you were. It never saw it happening. But just circling back to the current climate, you see superstars like J.J. Watt. He can't figure out how they can properly protect him. So as much as I want to see the season kick off, and the Ravens are top 2 or 3 teams preseason by all the pundits out there, I'm having a hard time seeing this through. But hard to believe that July 28th they're going to go to camp. And today, the Chiefs and the Titans, the Texans rather, report to camp. So they're trying. They're going to give it a shot and see what happens.
For you with this and thinking this through, we've been talking about this at length, right? We've argued over baseball 6 weeks ago, and they were fighting over money and who gets part of the pie, and now Luke's out there watching, and they're playing games and not even putting them on television. That's another story on Sunday night. I mean, how you have two television networks dedicated to baseball, and there's an actual game being played for the first time in 10 months, and there's cameras there, and you decide to not air it. It's insane to me. But the long and the short for me, in watching this come together and saying, where are the decision makers in all of this, we never heard from the players until Sunday morning, right? Like, the players now united on Twitter, right? Like, are we safe? Are we safe? What are you doing to keep us safe? This is the first time that we've heard from the football players.
Yeah, they're definitely chirping, and they have every reason to. It's a collision sport. They're going to be right there at each other's faces, Nestor. And again, I don't know that. And the NFL seems like they've been more lax in terms of what they're going to do than any of the other leagues. We see Mark Davis, the owner of the Ravens. He comes out and says, "Look, there's going to be no fans in the stands this year for us," and that includes me. So, very, very strange environment that we're heading into. We certainly know that there's companies out there looking for a vaccine. It's a race to make money for those companies. But again, it's a very fluid situation, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the players, they all have families, right? You've seen them. You know a lot of them. They're just like we are. They just happen to play professional football.
Well, and I'm concerned for them, and I'm concerned that this is not safe, and you only think it's safe because it has an NFL shield on it, and it's portrayed as safe. I don't think it's safe for them, Den, and I don't think they're in the kind of work, in the line of work where you can meet on Zoom and play football on Sunday. I think there's too much human contact, and I think John Harbaugh agreed when he saw the rules. He looked at it and said, we can't play football like this.
No,
Maybe we shouldn't play football. I guess that's what I'm saying. And I'm a sports guy. I love sports. This is what I've done for a living. This is how I fed my family. There are things you can sell cars successfully with masks. Stay away from. You've been doing it for 6 months. Has anyone? You have not been a part of exacerbating this problem. We have seen that we can open some kinds of restaurants and serve food at a distance. I have ordered food. I went to Pizza John's over the weekend and brought some pizza home, Dad. And there are things we can do. There are other things we best not ought to do. And if everybody's participating in this and everybody's wearing a mask, which we know they're not doing, we could stamp this thing out. But I don't know as a society that we're doing the testing and the tracing and the things that they have done where we're watching people get together for sports. But the one part of this has been watching Europe get away with this and play a season and have soccer, and soccer's a different kind of sport. I think baseball stands a better chance the more that I've watched this to sort of get away with it. Now, I don't know that there's any integrity in a 60-game season, and they're going to rush to the finish line, and they're trying to make money, and I get all that. But what the NFL's trying to do, put players on planes, fly them around week after week, gather them together, have them recover from this violent, intimate, bashing of each other's bodies, rolling around in empty stadia, right, where they're going to pipe in. I just think this is a lousy idea, for my entertainment. Or if they do it, am I going to watch? Yeah, I guess. I'm going to watch. Am I going to go to the games? Am I going to be a media member? I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get there, I'm not going to be amongst 14,000 people to go down there and sit in the upper deck. I'm not coming to your skybox, Den. I'm just not. I'm not. In the same way that my wife loves her mother. And her mother had cancer last year, and she's not getting on a plane and flying to Florida to hug her mother right now. So she's not hugging her mother. Maybe Matt Skura shouldn't be hanging out with Lamar Jackson and sending Lamar home to his mother. Maybe that's not a good idea for us to do that right now. In the same way it wasn't a good idea for Rudy Gobert 6 months ago.
Well, Nestor, as you know, I've been a long-time indoor cycling instructor with two different athletic clubs, and back in June, I informed both of them that I am retiring for the moment because I don't feel safe going to public gyms right now. And I told both the directors that, look, when you guys get back up to speed again, we know that we are 100% protected, just like we were pre-COVID. You can call me, and if you don't call me, it's okay. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be upset. But if you do get back to the standard that we had pre-COVID-19, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about returning and being an instructor once again. The juice isn't worth the squeeze for me. And I don't care what your occupation is. When you have a significant health hazard that one such as COVID-19, you've got to take a step back and take a look at it because there's not enough money. What is your life worth, right? Our strongest instinct is to survive, right? So every human life is priceless. And I say pump the brake, make sure we can protect everybody adequately back to pre-COVID-19 standards. But if I'm a professional athlete, Nestor, that's my position. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with my welfare, my health, and my family's welfare as well. Well,
Dennis Koulatos is over at Coons Ford. He's selling cars. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 to 5 doing the D. Koulatos Show. You can find him out on the Twitter thing as well. Gave me a little. I'm on this Joe Coy thing here.
Take a look at it.
I need to laugh, man. I need to laugh.
Yeah, you and I both. It's a very funny show. So highly recommended.
Well, I'll jump on that. So for you, with where we are sports-wise and passing time, we've talked about fishing, and you're selling cars, and we're doing things, and keeping it all together here on these hot days. For you in sports right now, your association to sports, and wanting and needing baseball and football back, right, or golf, or wrestling, or MMA, or the things that have been going on here. I think all of us have changed our association to sports a little bit over the last 5 or 6 months, and we say we're starved for it, and the Michael Jordan thing on Sunday nights went well. Luke and I have talked about that a lot this week as well. For you, with the fact that baseball's coming back, they're going to play. I mean, they're going to play tonight. You know what I mean? Like, and I put it on. I put it on over the weekend. I literally, and I'm not being mean, I'm just wondering, are people going to stay with this silent, weird thing for 60 days for 3 hours a night when my wife has really enjoyed watching cooking shows and Guy Fieri and dogs and cats and animals and, travel shows. That's what we've been doing the last 5 months. That's what's been on television. I'm not a CSI guy. I'm not a violence guy. I don't need to see people getting shot up at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not interested in that. I'm just not. I'm 52. I'm not interested in anything that welcomes violence into my home or portrayals of violence that isn't the NFL or the NHL, quite frankly, right? And I've been 40 years on the fights need to go from hockey. So I am losing John Lewis, maybe nonviolent protest and all that. I don't enjoy watching simulated violence for pleasure any longer in my life. So we watch these. I enjoy learning things, right? So we watch that, comparing and contrasting a unique life for me. I'll be 52, Den. Comparing and contrasting what used to be sports 6 days a week when I wasn't at a concert or when I wasn't somewhere else, dinner or whatever, where the ball game's on, where I'm checking scores, where it's what I do to feed my family. I'm interested in what this period of time is going to do for everyone. Not for me, just for everyone, and what my own interest. Look, if the Orioles were good, if the Orioles were the Ravens and the Orioles could win 41 out of these 60 games, if I were a Yankee fan, I may be looking forward to baseball more than I am personally this week, knowing the team stinks. But I am interested in what people are looking to do who have loved sports forever, whether this really, really quiet version of baseball whether it's going to be appealing to people, whether they're really going to sit for 3 hours and watch it and care about it for 2 months.
Look, we all have options. I was about to start watching Shark Fest on the Discovery Channel 5 weeks, but the first 2 episodes I've already seen, so that's why I looked for comedy, and I was able to find a great comedy. It's the same thing. We just have so many options as people. We figure things out. There's more to life than sitting around and watching certain things. But look, we love sports. That's the other part of it. And if the product is good, we'll tune in. Football for me, it's a passion. It's almost a religion. So if they play, I want to definitely watch, and I may even go down to the stadium as long as I can feel safe and socially distanced enough from my fellow fans. So again, it's very, very fluid. We'll see what happens, and just fasten your seatbelt. 2020 was wild, and it looks like COVID-19 may be a second-half team. Who knows? That's one day at a time.
Appreciate you, Dan. Dennis Koulatos joining us here. He is D. Koulatos Show out on Twitter. You can also find him at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And he'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home with the Dennis Koulatos Show. Also heard on Sunday mornings. And we get together and discuss the meaning of life in sports. And Joe Coy, my wife and I need the laughs. Anybody out there has anything that's definitely going to make me laugh, and I prefer blue. I can laugh. Well, I was going to say Bill Cosby because he famously didn't work blue. He just famously was like one of the worst human beings ever, but he didn't work blue. Eddie Murphy did work blue, and I appreciate that. I was more of a Carlin guy, more of a Dice Clay guy. So throw it my way. I can take sanitized comedy too. I've been doing that for 30 years. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, trying to laugh amidst all the madness. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. Calm, local, sometimes funny, sometimes hilarious, and always Baltimore low.